Good evening and welcome back to Ask 9 here in our streaming studio. My name is Becky Phelps.
I'm Jim Mertens, and so much news going on. Of course, we're keeping track of the weather. That's paramount for us.
Yes, the weather is a little rough, it seems. At downtown Cedar Rapids, I think it might have stopped snowing, but the winds are kind of picking up, and it's been snowing on and off, it feels like, for 24 hours now.
And it's not really the snow that we're all that worried about, actually. It's going to be the bitter cold temperatures, and once again, we're expecting really cold temperatures tonight, and then kind of a respite on Thursday before the bottom drops out on Friday and Saturday. So I don't want to give you a lot of advice, but it seems like Thursday is a good time to make sure your car has plenty of gas and maybe hit the grocery store if you need those last items, the bread, the milk, and the toilet paper.
Toilet paper, everything that went out of stock in 2020.
Those are the things that you need. But anyhow, you may want to think about hunkering down, especially Friday, especially Saturday morning. Sunday morning sounds like it could be tough as well, but definitely Friday night going into Saturday is going to be a rough one. So we want you to stay safe out there.
Absolutely. If you do have to go outside, please make sure you bundle up, wear your layers. Hot hands are one of my favorite things to have. Put them in your shoes, put them in your gloves. Just make sure that if you have to go outside, you are being safe about it.
And I know it's a pitch, and you can take it for whatever it's worth, but I really think getting the TV9, the First Alert weather app, you can get the weather, because we get phone calls from people saying what's going to be like at a certain time, or what's it like in my neighborhood at my address, and the app, we feed that information all the time for your particular neighborhood. So I can't stress how important it is. It's such a good tool at your fingertips, and once again, it can be customized directly to your neighborhood, basically.
And if you really just don't want to hear Joe's voice waking up in the middle of the night in case of an emergency, you can turn that feature off. So you can get everything personalized and make sure that you are not awoken in a minor situation.
It's a little frightening and yet somewhat
the first
reassuring.
Time Joe goes,
oh yeah,
there's rain in your area. Scared me so bad. But you can turn that part off.
But it is reassuring.
But if you want to hear it, you can have it on.
And I do, because Joe's my friend. Sweet dulcet voice that he has.
Oh yes, First Alert weather app.
Please.
We want to flag that.
Absolutely.
We are tonight, though, focusing on a story that has been very prevalent in the last 24 hours, especially here in eastern Iowa. We're talking about the presence of ICE agents in different communities.
Now, we have seen video, and it harkens back to some of the stuff that you've seen nationally, whether it is in Minneapolis or if it's been in Washington, D.C. or any other cities where you're seeing the arrests being made. Or you take a look at what happened actually in Iowa City, where it was an arrest with not undercover, but plainclothesmen who were ICE agents making an arrest. And then the stuff in Minneapolis where you have people that almost look paramilitary looking ICE officers making an arrest as well. Two very different personas, so to speak, of ICE agents. So you're never quite sure, what does an ICE agent even look like these days? And if you're of the minority community, I mean, this can be very troubling and frightening times for you.
Absolutely. Just yesterday, the Meskwaki Nation posted this on their Facebook page, saying that one of their community members was stopped by two adult men who were wearing plainclothes, and she was questioned about her U.S. citizenship. And they were, they had cars, didn't have any identification.
Two separate cars.
Two separate cars.
Two separate men, two separate cars.
And that has been confirmed that those were not ICE agents. Those were just two guys questioning this Meskwaki Nation community member about her U.S. citizenship in a restaurant parking lot.
It says after brief questioning, she complied with what they asked for and they left. So it's sad. I mean, if these people were imitating ICE officers and are just like, hey, here's something funny, let's try to do this.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad, but it also underlines the danger there is for so many minority members who are sitting there going, what is going to happen if ICE does approach me? And it could happen anywhere, outside a grocery store, outside a restaurant,
and how
here
can
in
you
Eastern
tell?
Iowa.
Depending on what they're wearing or how they approach you, how can you be sure that these are federal agents and that you do need to comply with what they ask you? we took that question to Eastern Iowa officials. So we talked today with Blackhawk County Sheriff Nathan Neff to ask him what to do if you are approached by someone who claims they are an ICE agent and how you can be sure that they are who they say they are. I talked to him earlier today. We're going to air that interview now in full. Blackhawk County Sheriff Nate Neff joining us. Thank you so much for your time today. We are hearing activity. It's top of mind for a lot of people. But we have also heard most recently from the Meskwaki Nation of some folks having interactions with people pretending to be ICE officers. So how can you tell if someone who's coming up to you is really an ICE officer or not?
Yeah, that's definitely a concern, and I'd heard a little bit about that incident down there. Fortunately, we haven't had anything like that in our area that I'm aware of. But the big thing is an ICE agent, they're going to be in their gear. They're going to have their vest on that's going to identify themselves. It's going to say ICE and or police on it typically. They carry credentials. I realize anybody can go online and print something off, but the ones that they have actually look legitimate. They're a kind of a two-sided document that's a 3x5 card. It'll have their picture on one side. It's going to have their signature on the other side. And then they're going to have a badge also that says U.S. Immigrations and Custom Enforcement. So they're going to have the official gear. Again, I realize someone can kind of make up a costume or try to do what they can to impersonate it. But the legitimate agents, the things they have are going to look realistic. They're going to look legitimate. If someone does approach you and say they're an ICE agent, typically it's going to be a nice policy that there's going to be two officers there if they're looking to make an arrest. So there should be at least two people there. Hopefully they're going to be professional as they come up. They're going to talk to you. And if you still have doubts about their legitimacy, you can always call 911. And if it's a legitimate ICE agent, they're going to allow you to do that. A lot of times, if they know you're doing that, and stay calm. First and foremost, don't try to run away. Don't become violent. And I realize it's a high stressful situation. It's going to be tense. But do your best to remain calm and just say, I don't feel comfortable. I'm going to call the police. You can call 911 and the city or county, wherever you're at, we'll send an officer out and we'll come and kind of verify who they are with you. A lot of times, if you do that and tell them that you're calling 911, they will also call 911 just to let us know that they're there. They're not doing that to try and kind of, I guess, undercut you or to cause problems with that. They're doing that more as a professional courtesy to us to let us know, hey, you're being sent out here. It is legit. I'm here just so you know when you get here, I'm going to be here.
So with that calling 911, do you usually know ahead of time if there are ICE agents in the area, or do you sometimes, find out when you get a call?
Typically, we don't really know when they're in town. Fortunately, we haven't seen any of the big operations that some of the bigger cities have seen. I would guess if something like that were going to happen, I would get a little bit of advance notice on that. But if they're here for a specific person, more than likely, I'm not going to know about that. They have certain people that they need to pick up, and they're going to do that. They may let us know on whether it be within the city limits or out in the county, but there's a good chance that we're not going to know ahead of time. So even if someone does call and say, is ICE here? I'm always careful to answer. To the best of my knowledge, they're not, because there may be somebody here and I don't know about it. So I don't want to look like I'm covering for someone or giving bad information.
So if someone approaches you maybe wearing plain clothes and says they're an ICE officer or agent, is the best first step maybe to just ask for that documentation then?
Absolutely. Ask for their credentials, ask to see a badge, ask to see an ID, however you want to phrase it. That's the best way to go. And they absolutely should have that. They'll have that. They'll be able to show that to you. If they don't have that, if they become argumentative, if they become disruptive, that's when you certainly want to call 911. I would think if it's someone impersonating an officer, once you call 911, hopefully they're going to just get out of there, and then you're going to know that it's false. And still go ahead and complete that 911 call, because we're going to want to know about that. We're going to want to investigate that. We're going to want to see who's impersonating an officer and causing problems in our community.
Okay, so if you have an interaction like this and you suspect that they are impersonating an agent, maybe they run away, they back off after you ask for identification, still report that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, we want to know if someone's out there doing that. That's disrupting our community. That's a potential danger to our community. Had that person gone with someone impersonating an officer, we hate to think what could happen there. If it's a legitimate officer, I can assure you asking for their ID is not going to make them just run away. So we want to know either way, whether they are legitimate, we can come and verify that and make sure things go as they're supposed to, or if it's illegitimate, then we want to be able to follow up on that.
Now, if this is an official ICE agent, this is a legitimate interaction, but maybe you are observing the interaction, you're not the one that's being approached. Legally, what can you do in that scenario? We see a lot of people, who stand around those interactions recording. What legally can people do, and what should they not do?
I mean, obviously, recording, you're perfectly welcome to record. Any place where you can publicly see, you can publicly record. So that's not an issue at all. We just ask that you don't interfere with what's actually going on. Don't try and step between the people. Don't step between them and their cars. Don't step, anywhere we're going to truly interfere with the operation that's going on. Screaming, yelling, that kind of thing, that can be very disruptive. I know most officers try to be as tolerant as that as possible, but it also can get to a point where they can't talk to the person, they can't communicate, and that can be disruptive. And honestly, that sometimes some of those things can just elevate a situation further than what it needs to be done. So we understand that you're there to try and help this person or defend that person, but there also comes a time when it's just too disruptive and it's honestly not being helpful to anyone in the situation.
We have seen, across the state examples of ICE agent interactions that are legitimate and some that are maybe not. Again, most recently from the Meskwaki Nation. Are you guys in Black Hawk County getting calls? Are people concerned at all about even the possibility of ICE presence around your area?
There's definitely concerns, and I don't know, throughout the last year, occasionally I'll hear about that. Somebody calls, somebody will send an email in, somebody will check in on it. Have you heard of any ICE agent activity here, anything with that? So it's definitely a concern. I wouldn't say we get asked about it daily or even weekly, but it definitely comes up. It's on a lot of people's minds, especially with everything going on around the country. So people are thinking about it, and I don't blame them for asking. Fortunately, again, there's been nothing big going on here, and again, I just actually spoke with the Waterloo Police Chief last night, and he asked me if I'd heard of anything going on, and I hadn't, and neither had he. So.
Sheriff Neff, I want to thank you again for your time. Is there anything else you want to make sure people are aware of regarding this?
No, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just for everyone to remain calm, whether it's an agent that approaches you or whether it's someone that you're with. Getting upset and trying to run away, trying to be argumentative, doing any of those other things, they really don't help. So stay calm. If there's any doubt whatsoever, call 911. Let us come and sort it out for you.
Very good advice. It was also interesting, if we go back to the Meskwaki incident, which we believe is apparently people that were trying to pretend that they were ICE. The person did comply. It was like a short interaction. But what that woman did was she described both of their cars. So she had the presence of mind to tell police a description of those vehicles, the make, the color, which can be very helpful if you're not getting license plates for police to track down an incident like this.
Yeah, and very good that didn't escalate anywhere, that it was just that conversation. But yes, if you suspect that you are in a situation that they are not really federal agents, absolutely call 911 and keep note of those details. What they're wearing, what they're driving. Keep that in your mind. And
as you mentioned, I mean, this is an incident that's been happening even throughout Iowa. Because there was another incident about a week ago in Mason City where people had seen what they believed were ICE officers, and they called Mason City Police. KCRG TV9's Lacey Reeves has been tracking this down. She was able to talk to Mason City Police, and they were able to find out that, yes, indeed, there were ICE agents in the community. As a matter of fact, ICE agents had shown up at the Cerro Gordo jail, county jail, to ask if there were any immigrants being held in custody, which they did not have. So it is happening throughout the state in counties large and small. And reiterating what the sheriff said, in Mason City, the police chief said, yeah, we had no idea. They don't tell us ahead of time. But that they had actually reached out to the Iowa, I think they reached out to Des Moines, to the ICE office in Des Moines, who said, we don't have operations up there. And they weren't aware of any operations from, where Mason City is, perhaps it'd be Minnesota ICE officers, and they weren't aware of that. So they're not even sure exactly where these ICE officers came from. But once again, in that case in Mason City, they were indeed official. Local and law enforcement did not know that they were going to be in the community, and they still really haven't tracked down where they came from, but they are sure that they were indeed ICE officers.
Yeah, and this kind of knowledge and training is not something that most people, innately have. If you were to see an interaction like this, you might not automatically know what to do, but it is something a lot of people are seeking out right now. There were hundreds of people who attended a community training event over the weekend at Dream City in Iowa City that was held by Escucha Mi Voz, which has been a very outspoken immigration advocacy group here in Iowa. And they gave some, people advice on what to do, again, what you can legally do and what you should not do. And they emphasized, never interfere with an arrest, but you can record, if it's in a public space. So just some of those things to be aware of, as this is really something that's top of mind for a lot of people right now.
And I think some of these, instances where people have been recording have been amazingly helpful to get a better picture of exactly what is going on across America. I mean, as well as I do, a picture tells 1,000 words, but it's also only part of the bigger picture of what's going on and where the camera is focused. But it certainly has been helpful to help clarify exactly what is going on in some of these instances. But as the sheriff said, don't get between it. Don't become part of the problem, although emotions escalate so quickly in instances like this.
Yeah, the arrest at the Bread Garden in Iowa City you mentioned earlier, definitely it got the amount of eyes on it that it did because of the video that was captured of it and the way that we were able to share that video, and it caught so many people's attention on social media.
And I would like to point out also is that, as far as KCRG TV9 policy is concerned, when we receive video like that, we do everything we can to verify its veracity because AI exists out there, or people can stage things. So be very careful if you're watching stuff on social media that it is indeed real, I guess is what I would say. Emotions, like I said, are high. You can inflame violence or anger in so many different ways. So be careful what you see, and always do your best to verify, and please believe that we're doing the same.
Looking ahead this week, we will not have a regular Ask 9 tomorrow because of the serious weather that Jim mentioned at the top of the show. Jackie and Kristen and Justin on the morning show will have a live stream for you around 7:15, keeping you updated on the weather. We'll be here with Joe at 5:30. And just keeping you throughout the day updated on what is happening.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we're streaming as often as possible live so that we can get you information at your fingertips whenever you want it. We want you to keep watching TV. Please do, but that is appointment television. We understand that, and it doesn't necessarily always meet everyone's lifestyle or when they can watch. So we hope that you're enjoying some of our streaming broadcasts, our streamcasts, I should say, because they're not broadcasts. That's me being an old man.
There you go, new word.
But make sure that you do keep an eye on KCRG. Our apps are just, I can't say enough, positive, and how we are trying to progress towards meeting your needs when you need it.
Absolutely. That's what we got for you here on Ask 9 tonight.
That's my pitch.
That's the pitch.
That's my pitch.
Get all the apps. Stay tuned with us. We are here for you guys.
Yeah.
Have a great evening.